Hello, my name is Sam Tocco and I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I became a chiropractor in 1980 and I'm going to be starting my 29th year of practice. The purpose for us communicating today is to share with you the reason why I became a chiropractor. During my practice week, many times that question will come up. So my purpose here this evening is just to share with you my story of why and how I became a chiropractor. I actually years ago never thought in a million years that I'd ever go to a chiropractor. But as I was growing up, I had many of the normal childhood accidents that one would have, learning how to walk and falling, and learning how to ride a bike and falling off the bike, and slips on the ice, and accidents on the playground and so forth. But in particular, when I was about 13 years old, I was running as fast as I could to catch a football, and I was looking behind me at the same time. And as I looked behind me and caught the football, I turned around and met a telephone pole full steam head first. And as a result of that, I didn't know at the time, but as a result of that particular event, my whole life would change. I was apparently a healthy young boy prior to that time, but after that happened, my life had changed significantly. Right when that happened, I don't believe I was a normal kid for probably the whole next year after that. I ended up staying in the house a lot. And incidentally, I didn't even tell my parents that I'd done that because they really got mad at me. They were old country parents and so forth. So I actually kind of kept it to myself, but my life had changed. Began having a lot of health problems, and didn't really know what they were about, but I ended up having pain throughout my body, in particular my legs and arms. I had problems with my elbows that were diagnosed as tennis elbow. I had carpal tunnel problems. I had migraine headaches. I had pain in between my shoulder blades. I ended up having lots of charley horsing and spasms in my legs that would cause me to jump out of bed in the middle of the night. Ended up having a tonsillitis condition that actually caused me to miss about 2.5 years of work out of 5.5 years of work when I worked over at General Motors. At the age of almost 16, I began having grand mal seizures. That was my biggest health challenge. And again, this is all hindsight. At the time, I didn't realize what had brought all this on. I found out years after my traumatic experiences. But obviously, growing up with all those kind of problems is not really a good way for a young fellow to be growing up. But the grand mal seizures were probably my biggest health challenge, along with the tonsillitis condition. Missing that much work, you can imagine what kind of problems I was having with that. And I didn't use a lot of medical care because my family was old country parents from Sicily that didn't know much about drugs or medical doctors, so I pretty much just lived that way for many years. And as I started to approach my 20s, 19, 20 years old, the lady that I was dating at the time, I was talking to her mom, and we were sitting there and I was telling her about all these health problems I was having. And incidentally, I had several car accidents. I also played football for a couple years in high school and then almost 1 year in college. But as I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, mother, I was telling her all these health problems I had, and about 3 or 4 weeks prior to the time that I was talking to her, I had another car crash, and this one really hurt my neck real bad. It caused me to have a lot of problems, and I think I spent about 3 or 4 weeks of physical therapy and was getting a lot of ultrasound and massage and those kinds of things. I wasn't really into taking a lot of pain pills and just never really lived that way, so that wasn't part of my care. But after about a month of that sort of care, I still was struggling badly, and that's probably the reason why I was talking to her mother at the time, explaining to her all these problems I was having. And then she made a simple suggestion. She suggested that I go see her chiropractor, and she really felt that he might be able to help me out. Now, the first thing I said to her in response to her asking me to go to her chiropractor, I told her I wouldn't waste my time because they're quacks. And to be honest with you, I really believed that to be true. I said it with all my heart, and I believed it to be 100% true as anything that I believe to be true. When I said that to her, she calmly hesitated, and then real calmly she asked me a simple question. She said, Sam, what do you know about chiropractic? I sort of kind of hem and hawed in my mind, and I was trying to get out of this uncomfortable situation. I really couldn't come up with anything, so I sort of fessed up to her, and I told her I didn't know nothing about chiropractic. I had a major self-realization about myself at that time in my life, that I was speaking so wholeheartedly about something that I really didn't know anything about. So based on that realization, I decided to go visit her chiropractor. And I'll never forget the day that I went and saw him. It was well over 30 years ago. But when I did present myself for my first visit in his office, I told him all these problems I was having, all these challenges I was having. And basically what he told me was, hey, if you want to come here and get some help, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. He didn't tell me any more than that, any less than that. But an amazing thing happened. Within about a month of his care, without even understanding what the heck he was doing or why he was doing it, because he had a real busy practice and he didn't really seem to have time to communicate much to me about anything. But after about a month of his care, most of the health challenges that I mentioned to you had disappeared from my life. Basically, as I was a young man and living my life, I was looking for something that had meaning and purpose to do with my life. I felt that that was very important, to have passion and purpose and really love what you were doing. So I was just looking for something like that to love to do. As a result of my first month of chiropractic care, as I transferred back to Eastern Michigan University to do some more of my studies to pursue my master's degree in psychology, I ended up being transferred to another chiropractor in the Ypsilanti Landing area. And he was the opposite of the first chiropractor that I went to. He couldn't tell me enough about chiropractic. He saw my genuine interest to learn about chiropractic, and he did everything he could to share with me what chiropractic was, giving me all kinds of information. He actually introduced me to about 10 other chiropractors beside himself. And then over the next year and a half, after I became a chiropractic patient, I checked it out very carefully. And then I decided with my whole heart to pursue a career as a chiropractor. And as I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, I'm starting the 29th year of my practice, and it's been the most wonderful experience that I could ever say to you. I can't tell you I had one bad day of being in my office practicing chiropractic. So I'll talk to you later about some other important things. Have a great evening.